Hey guys, it's Will. Welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, welcome and thank you for finding us. Hope everybody watching this video is having a good day today. This is a list video. So I'm sitting kind of side saddle here because I like to do list videos like this. So I have the space here to put up the posters for the movies that I'm talking about. So if you watch this channel, you'll know that I thought it would be fun. I turned 40 this year. Yes, I know I'm old and I'm decrepit. I thought it would be fun to do a top 5 movies list for every year that I've been alive. So starting in 1983 and continuing to 2023. So today we are on 1985. So this list is my top 5 movies of 1985. If you've seen any of these other videos, you'll know that what I'm doing is I'm trying to encapsulate all of the movies I've loved over the period of my whole life. So it's not necessarily my top 5 movies of 1985 right now. If I were to choose like 5 I wanted to sit down and watch, it's like movies I watched as a kid a lot, movies that I was really into maybe as a teenager, movies I really loved as an adult. There's like something like 15 or 16 movies that did not make it onto this list. So I'm going to read those as like the honorable mentions before we get to the top 2. Because there were a lot of movies I wanted to put on this list. Now, something you'll know about me if you watch my Hong Kong cinema channel, if you watch some of the lists I've done on this channel, is I love to cheat on lists. I always put more movies on a list than I tell you I'm putting on a list. And this list is no exception because at number 5, my top movies in 1985, I have a tie. And I'm calling it the B and B tie because both of the movies begin with the letter B. One of them is Back to the Future and one of them is The Breakfast Club. Back to the Future is a movie that I watched so many times as a kid that I just loved. And I probably haven't seen that movie in about 10 years, but I watched it so much as a kid. I was like, it would be a lie to leave that movie off of this list. But The Breakfast Club is a movie that even though I saw it when I was like a teenager or whatever, that I really love as an adult. Like I've come to appreciate it more the older that I get. And I just rewatched it a couple weeks ago, maybe like a month ago, and it's still just so good. So I wanted to get both those movies on there. So I kind of cheated and I did a tie at number 5. So at number 4 on my list of my top 5 movies in 1985, I have Come and See. This movie, in terms of its quality, it's the filmmaking ability behind it, the emotional impact of it, it's one of the best movies I have ever seen. Like, this movie destroyed me the first time I saw it. Like, it emotionally devastated me. Like, I didn't speak for like an hour or two after I saw this, but like legitimately. Like, my roommate came back. I was like in my early 20s. My roommate came back and was like, "Are you okay? Like, what's going on?" And I was like, just pointed to the DVD that I had rented from the video store. And I was like, "I just watched that movie. I can't talk." So it's like a hard movie to really assess in terms of a ranking because it's so powerful that it like transcends the notion of trying to give it a rating or put it on a list. It's like this transcendent world-class work of art. And yet at the same time, it's not a movie I want to watch. Most times I sit down to watch a movie. And so it's like, how do you really put it on a list and rank it? And so I just thought, I'll just put it here at 4. It's in the top 5. Realistically speaking, any of these movies could really be number 1 because like I said, I mean, my short list was like 20 plus movies, and so it's like they're all movies I absolutely love that made it into the top 5. At number 3 of my top movies in 1985, I have The Goonies, because anyone who's like an 80s kid or a 90s kid, how many freaking times did you watch The Goonies? It's just incredible with Sean Astin. And I mean, here you guys, and like, I mean, everything about this movie is amazing. Like Josh Brolin is in it, and like, it's such like an 80s like Spielberg type of thing, where like you got the gang of kids, and then they go on this adventure, and there's like pirates and the mafia, and it's like all these genres being stitched together, but it's about these kids, and like, it's got danger in it and wonder, and like every time I hear the music from this movie, I'm just like a kid again, sitting and watching this movie on TV or like on VHS or whatever. Like it has so much nostalgia value. It's just it's such a classic movie that I've seen so many times that it couldn't not be on this list. So before we get into the top 2, I'm going to tell you all of the movies that were on my short list that did not make it on here. So if you watch this channel or if you watch my Hong Kong cinema channel, obviously you'll know I'm a huge fan of Hong Kong cinema. So there's a lot of Hong Kong movies that didn't make the list. Twinkle Twinkle Lucky Stars is a classic Sammo Hung, Jackie Chan movie. I love that movie. My Lucky Stars came out in 85 as well. I don't like that movie as much, but it's worth mentioning that Jackie Chan was in 5 movies in 1985. It's, and they're all like kind of classic, considered classic movies. Commando, which is, one of Mike's favorite movies. So if you don't know who Mike is my partner in all the social media stuff I do. And he like edits all the videos and does the thumbnails. And like we talk about ideation, like when I want to do video ideas or when I wanted to start this channel, I have long conversations with him about like, how should I do it? What should we do? Like, so Mike is like, he loves Commando. And we have a podcast together to promote myself a little bit. The link will be in the description of the video, but our first episode for the podcast was on Commando. So the podcast is called Movie of the Week. And each one of us we go back and forth picking movies for the other person to watch. So Mike will pick one, we'll watch it, we'll talk about it. Then I'll pick one, we'll watch it. So it's just like for fun, basically. The Protector is another Jackie Chan movie from '85. Yes, Madam, which is like ground zero for the girls with guns subgenre. Michelle Yeoh is in it. Cynthia Rothrock is in it. It's a great movie. Mr. Vampire. The reason I didn't put Mr. Vampire on the list is I actually just saw it for the first time like a month ago, but it's an absolutely classic, amazing horror comedy, like 80s Hong Kong film. Heart of Dragon, which is a Jackie Chan movie. I think it's hugely underrated. Jackie is the star of it. It was directed by Sammo Hung. Sammo Hung is like the second lead in the film. It's a really great movie. Legend, that image of Tim Curry as the devil will never leave my mind. I saw that movie a couple times as a kid, and every time I think of the devil, that's what I see, and that will be with me until the day I die. The Legend of Billie Jean, amazing movie. Day of the Dead, I love the Romero movies. I love those zombie movies. Pee-wee's Big Adventure, who didn't love Pee-wee back in the day? And that's a Tim Burton movie. It's a great movie. Return of the Living Dead. So this is a weird movie because I was 2 years old in 1985, but it was on TV like a few times when I was a kid and uncensored. I don't know what channel it was on, but I saw it and I was like way too young to see it. And it was so disgusting and horrifying that I couldn't look away from it. I was like, what is this movie? This is like zombies and like naked people. Like, I was like, what is this? I shouldn't be watching it, but it's amazing. So that had to go on there. Weird Science. I think a lot of people my age really liked that movie just because it's so silly. And then Code of Silence, which is actually my favorite Chuck Norris movie. So let's get into the top two. These are all-time classic movies, I believe, and favorites of mine. Police Story with Jackie Chan is at number 2. So people probably assume that this would be number 1 on my list, right? Because I'm such a big fan of Jackie Chan and Hong Kong films and all that stuff. This is such a great movie, and it started an amazing franchise. And you could talk endlessly about how incredible this film is. I think it's one of the most influential action movies ever made, one of the most influential martial arts films ever made. It's an incredible film in and of itself, but its influence I really think is impossible to measure. Like Sylvester Stallone quoted this film in Tango and Cash. Like there's a visual quote from this film, and it's movies like The Raid and The Protector and like these urban kind of action martial arts types of movies I don't think would exist the way that they do now without this movie, especially the movies that mix like the gunplay and the martial arts. And like I know that Sammo Hung and other people were pushing the envelope and kind of innovating in that space before Jackie made this film, but this kind of seems like the one to me that was like the explosion that set off this whole thing. It's just an incredible movie, and it's got one of the greatest stunts ever performed in front of the camera, which is the pole slide. One of my all-time favorite Jackie stunts, which I actually think is cooler than the pole slide, which I know is heresy to say, but when he's hanging off the bus with the umbrella and then like these cars come by and he's like walking across the roofs of the cars, it's amazing. It's amazing. That opening sequence in this movie is incredible. And with the driving the motorcycles through the mall and all the breaking glass, and it's a classic, amazing movie. I could talk about it forever. I'm going to make myself stop at number 1 on my list of my favorite movies in 1985. Is a movie that I first saw when I was probably about 18 or 19. Like Come and See, it was one of those movies that just like stunned me. I had never seen anything like it. It blew me away. It's completely incredible. It's by one of my all-time favorite filmmakers coming out of Japan, Akira Kurosawa. It's Ran. So this movie is kind of loosely based on King Lear. It basically combines like some actual stuff from Japanese history with the story of King Lear. And so this guy is retiring and he splits his kingdom between his 3 sons, and they're all like, oh no, we all want it all. And so it creates this war, and then he starts to go insane because his kids are fighting with each other. And it has some of the most incredible, striking imagery I have ever seen. Kurosawa has said that when he set out to make this movie, he wanted to make a film that was about a world that had been abandoned by Buddha. So a world in which there's no compassion, no kindness, no forgiveness, no hope, no purpose. And it's just this insanely bleak, like brutal, but like visually and emotionally stunning and captivating portrait of this just completely broken, destroyed, annihilated, nihilistic system of greed and murder and war and violence and death and insanity, and it's such a profound and incredible film. It looks so amazing, especially if you see like the kind of the remaster. I think there was a 4K remaster of it that was done not too long ago, but I mean, it's one of my favorite movies ever, like truly, and it's in contention for my favorite Kurosawa film. He made 30 movies as the sole director. He like co-directed some stuff and stuff like that, but like as the sole director, he made 30 movies, and I've seen all of those movies multiple times. I love them to death. There's any kind of content you want me to do about Kurosawa, let me know. I'm actually prepping a video right now that I'm going to shoot soon about Kurosawa. That's just like a fun little behind the scenes thing that I think is really interesting about one of his films. But I would be open to doing I could do a ranking of my favorite Kurosawa movies or anything like that. So let me know in the comments, because I'm a huge Kurosawa fan. I really love his films. I spent like a year of my life actually watching all of his movies over and over again and writing essays about them and stuff like that. So I really love his films. But Ron has to be number one for me. It's one of the greatest movies I've ever seen, and I've seen it numerous times, and I absolutely love it. So my name is Will, and that is my top films of 1985. 1986 will be coming next, and then onward every year up until 2023. I thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.